He has two charges that we know that he's convicted of, but basically these charges are basically like man charges, um, put into place by a boxer years and years ago by the name of Jack Johnson. Um, the man that is basically an act where it needs to be reformed because basically it's talking about how they were trying to keep my color and the other color separated. So that's where the whole man act comes from and stuff like that. So those are the only two charges he was charged with, but the most heaviest charges he was acquitted on. So right now we're just waiting to see. He might be going home today. Um, trying to figure out about the sentencing now. I don't know, like, so the sentencing, he could get up to 10 years for each charge. Being that he's never been convicted of anything, a lot of that goes along with the judge looking at your sentencing. He's already been in for 7 months, so those 7 months, that's time that's going to get shaved off the time they give him anyway. Um, I think they said the least he can get is two years. But if at least he can get his 2 years, he's already been in 7 months. So it's not gonna be too much longer for him to be in there if he gets the lesser of the sentence. So I don't know if y'all know about the law too high. Yeah, if the judge wanted to be a butthole, which I really don't think he is, not in this right because of the way that the ruling and the verdict came out. Basically, the judge could be a butthole and be like, "I'm gonna give you 10 years on this charge, 10 years on that charge," if they're not ran concurrent. But in street talk, if they don't run a concurrent, that's called bow leg. So if it's bow legged, you're gonna get 10 for this one, 10 for that one. I mean, it's not life in prison. So I mean, basically at this point, we looking like this nigga beat the Fed. This man took it to court and beat it. This man took this shit to trial and beat this shit. Y'all, do y'all understand what like happened today, bro? But I will tell y'all, all y'all out here, I did say this in the beginning. I said Diddy might not be a great person, but they're not gonna be able to prove. They're not gonna be able to prove the RICO. Um, Behind all of that, like I really feel like the prosecution just went too high in their charges. They try to put a federal RICO on him, and basically, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Going on? What's going on? Yeah, but they're trying to put a federal RICO on this man, and basically, the most they pretty much could have really convicted him on was um, uh, uh, domestic violence, DV. That's not a federal charge. You know what I'm saying? And I actually feel like that's the lane they should have went down to try to get Diddy more years. But hey, they wanted to go all out. They wanted to have a big hoorah and all this. So you know. Oh, he said, what is a RICO? Well, a RICO is a charge in America that's basically set up for organized crime. If you have a crime syndicate or a crime family and all of y'all are doing things to get money and things of that nature, it's classified as a RICO. It's really was set up for the gangsters in places like Chicago and things of that nature back in the day. But now, R. Kelly went to jail for RICO. But like I said in the beginning, he's not a perfect. I mean, I'm not perfect. It's nobody in this world is perfect. But the thing about it is, bro, is like they overdraw their hand. 6 weeks of testimony and the defense didn't pick up on anybody.
Damn!
the defense didn't put nobody up there. The defense just said they spiel and was like, okay, y'all go ahead on and deliberate. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. But I think a lot of people already had knew that he wasn't gonna get charged with the biggest charges, which is the RICO charge. And this one thing I want to say. All y'all out there flying out these women, I don't care if they're IG models or whatever it is, OnlyFans, whatever. Y'all flying these women out, y'all gonna have to cut that out, bro. Because at the end of the day, now that Diddy has gotten, those are the only charges they was able to get him on, they might be able to start locking folks up. If you fly a chick out to you, you might be able to get that charge. Like, and the thing I don't understand is through the whole trial, nobody said, got up there on the stand and said, I am a prostitute, with it, even if it was a male or a female worker or whoever went up there. Nobody got up there and said, I am a prostitute. So he might be still these last two charges and be getting out scot-free. So yeah, man, we about to find something on YouTube and see what they come on. Yeah, we're gonna look it up right now. Long crime Diddy, let's go, y'all. Let's go. Hey, where you calling in from? I mean, where y'all tapping in from? Okay, this 2 hours ago. No, that's 21 hours ago. Damn, like, what's going on? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Search filters. Okay. Last hour. Because I know they got to have something up on this. There's no way that a long crime. Okay, 22. They talking to the Punisher now. Yeah, we gotta check this out. Hold on, I gotta see which one we gonna watch though. I would rather do long crime. Well, let's just see. Hopefully they ain't got no music on here. Let's check it out though. They say the people are celebrating that Diddy beat this federal RICO.
Diddy supporters celebrate outside the court.
Damn.
House by dousing themselves in baby oil. Watch this.
Hell nah, they outside the courthouse pouring baby oil. Hell nah. They, man. Damn. These folks is outside. Yeah, bro, what's up? You said Morocco. Oh, where that's at, in Africa or something like that?
Diddy supporters celebrate outside the courthouse by dousing themselves in baby oil. Watch this.
Wow. They celebrating by spreading baby oil on themselves. Well, let's see what the Punisher had to say. Because I just got through watching the Punisher on Piers Morgan. So let's see what he had to say. Let's see if they play that interview or they play another interview. This shit going crazy. You knew what's happening. What's happening, fam? You knew. Yeah, man. Thank God my live started working. My bad, y'all. I ain't got premium. Yeah, it's going down, bro. It's going down. Diddy might be at home eating dinner with the family today, bro. He might be at home eating dinner today, bro. But this right here makes
Diddy Combs trial, big day here today in the Southern
District of New York. We're listening to Law and Crime. Y'all go check them out. I don't know if this is sidebar, but this is the same young man that does a segment on Sidebar. But this is definitely breaking news. So we're watching Long Crown, y'all channel. Y'all check it out. Let's listen to what's going on.
District of New York in the federal courthouse out in downtown New York. A verdict has been reached. We've been reporting about it all.
Man, when they said not guilty on that, bro, I almost dropped to my knees. And I was like, I'm talking about he took it to court and beat that shit, bro. Like, it's only a couple people I know beat the actual feds.
Warning, a verdict has been reached in the case. Sean
So check it
Combs
out.
acquit.
So check it out. The only people I know beat the feds in court, I think it's like 3 people. I know one is Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi walked out the courtroom with a Bible in his hand. He opened up the Bible, flipped to Genesis, and read some scriptures to the judge, and the judge had to let him walk out the courtroom. Because the judge has "In God We Trust" over his head, so there's no way you can have "In God We Trust." I open up the Bible and show you what God said, and you still gonna convict me. So Dr. Sebi, that's number one. The second person I know beat the feds would be Irv Gotti, rest his soul, R.I.P. Irv Gotti, which was like I think a CEO over Murder Inc. Third person would have to be like NBA YoungBoy. I think he had something federal going on, and he was winning. He won in court, and also oh, my channel about all kind of stuff, bro. Like we basically just bringing views to the table, bit dog. Like we just doing, we doing content. I love doing stuff about LA and all that or whatever. But as of now, like we just, if you read the top of my channel, we just bringing views to the table. That's it. Like whatever's going on hot in the media, we talking about it. And sometimes I'll be on here making beats, making tracks and stuff too. I gotta get it cracking on my Twitch, because I make beats and stuff. I've been doing it online. If you go back to my older videos, you can see that I've been making beats from scratch online. So yeah, man, it's crazy day, bro. Crazy day. Let's listen to what they got to say.
Of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion for both Cassie Ventura Fine and Jane, but ultimately he has been convicted of transportation to engage in prostitution. The Mann Act violation.
The Mann Act, that's what I just told y'all. The Mann Act, bro. That right there, that ain't shit for him to even worry about, bro. Like that's not a charge that he don't even have to worry about like that. Like he probably gonna be able to appeal that shit and get out of them 2 charges right there. Like, see, he got the lesser charge. If he would have got the first 3 bigger charges, he would have got way more time. But he got charged with the lesser offenses. But the federal RICO, when you beat that, you got a chance, my nigga. You definitely got a chance.
And today you would think that would be the end of the day. It is certainly not. Why? The judge has to determine whether or not Sean Combs should make bail, whether or not he should be released, whether or not, and we have a live shot of the courthouse, whether or not we will see him walk out of that court.
Let him go to vote. Let him go. Let him go to vote. Let him go now.
Later today. Right now, both sides are submitting paperwork to the court, keeping a very careful eye on the courtroom updates to see what that decision will be, because the judge is going to decide. And what the basis was for Sean Combs to be locked up during the whole course of this criminal process, it is very different now. It is very different now because he's not facing those top charges, those violent charges, those charges that could have sent him to prison for the rest of his life. One of the other big considerations we have when we talk about transportation to engage in prostitution, the charges that he was convicted of, is what will be his sentence. While there are maximums of 10 years in prison on each charge, and although the prosecution has said,
that's what I'm saying, it could be 10 on each charge. That means they're going to run that shit bow-legged. Bow-legged mean you got 10 on this charge, you got 10 on that charge. They're not going to even be ran concurrent. You dig?
that he could face up to 20 years, but they stacked them one after the other. It seems highly unlikely
Unlikely.
given a number of factors in this case, but there's also aggravating factors. We'll talk a little bit more about it. But we're going to take your questions as we are live on air, and we update you about what is happening. But I also have with us a very special series of guests. So we have an all-star panel. We
look like they're gonna have a Punisher on there, y'all.
with us Ben Shu, acclaimed litigator, famously represented Johnny Depp in his high-profile trial against Amber Heard. We also have with us criminal defense attorney and civil rights attorney Tyler Bailey. We have with us Sierra Gillespie and Elizabeth Milner out in the field. We'll get to them. But right now, we are also joined by Sheree Hayes. Now, for anybody who's been following this case, you will know who Mr. Hayes is, also referred to as the Punisher during the course of this case. Mr. Hayes, who's also...
They say he was punishing Cassie, bro.
Son.
That's wild, dog. Like, I don't know, bro. You got to be a different type of guy to watch somebody else do something to your girl, bro. Like that's kind of weird. That's weird activity. I wouldn't want nobody doing nothing to my old lady. Like, and I'm watching, and then on top of all of that, he was getting turned on by other men doing things with his woman. Like, bro, I don't get that one.
By the way, the author of In Search of Freezer Meat, we can talk more about that. Hayes had testified during the course of this trial about his involvement in 8 to 12 sexual encounters that he had with Cassie Ventura Fine and Sean Combs. Testified that Combs watched and gave directions during these events. You played a pivotal role in this case, Mr. Hayes. It's great to see you. Thanks for taking the time. Your reaction to the verdict?
I think the verdict was a decision. You know, it maybe not based on following the specifics of the law, because I know the prosecutor said you only had to find one instance where you believe there's coercion. But if you're talking about a jury and the understanding that this was relationships, these were his partners, these were, you know, they were exchanged text messages of love and care and over long periods of time. And then also a bunch of consenting also messages to the sexual activity and the type of lifestyle they lived. I thought it was going to be hard for a typical person that wasn't going to really streamline the law, extremely hypervigilant, to not see this as a relationship domestic issue opposed to sex trafficking. So this is actually what I expected.
To be clear, in any of your encounters, did you see any force, fraud, coercion being used to induce Cassie to engage in these sex acts?
Yeah, it's similar to my testimony. I did not. And so what I will even add is, you know, I testified in the facts where I only interacted and spoke to Cassie during any of these occasions. I never had any communication with Mr. Combs.
We got somebody here named... Bro, your name is Nathan.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
So I would be greeted
keep typing though. Keep typing.
Prior to the activities.
Let's show us how good and ignorant you can be and type at the same time. So yeah, keep typing. Thank you.
Then again, at the conclusion, and I always found good vibes, good energy. Hey, thanks for coming. It was great. We'll see you again. Here you go. And I did not even witness anything that appeared to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs or anything. So I did find it difficult to see my interaction being anything close to criminal.
I want to tell you what's happening outside the courthouse. CNN is reporting that people are quite excited. There are people who are gathered. They are spraying baby oil into the crowd.
Damn.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
I'm talking. They said they're spraying baby oil in there.
Damn!
Bro, this is, bro. I never thought I would have seen it today, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I thought the man was gonna go to jail, but I thought it was gonna railroad him like they did R. Kelly. I didn't think he was gonna goddamn win like this. I'm talking about this man might be like John Gotti out here. He gonna beat the feds.
There are remnants of oil that could be
John
seen on the
Gotti
courthouse.
couldn't even beat the feds. John Gotti didn't even beat the feds, but.
That we were reporting earlier on today that there was a verbal dispute between supporters of Sean Combs, or at least supporters of his case, and those who feel differently. When you're seeing a reaction like that, outside of the courthouse, you playing a role in this case. What's your position on it? What is your view on it?
So what I think is there's a benefit of the misinformation. You know, me as a civilian, even before I was involved, before I became a witness, the social understanding of this case, it made it so much bigger than what it was. You had rumors of child trafficking. You had all of this bribery and celebrities involved and all of this crazy stuff that escalated to this belief that you was going to get this magnitude of just terrible acts, and not downplaying the domestic violence part of it. But I think when the actual facts of this case became evident, I think people's expectation and their belief that it was going to be so much more, it actually minimized the victims' experiences. So now there are still people that are victimized, regardless of the verdict. There's still bad experiences.
And my heart goes out to anybody who has went through anything like this, man or woman, whatever. Y'all have been, you know, as children or whatever, or however it goes. You know what I'm saying? I just pray for the people that, you know what I'm saying, that these cases really need to be, the people that's actually doing these things to them, they need to be, not Diddy.
People almost see it as a celebratory, you know, simple scenario because everybody thought it was going to be so much worse than what it was, including myself.
Do you think
listening to the banter?
Do you think that your testimony helped secure the conviction for transportation to engage in prostitution? Because let's be clear, the two charges that he was convicted of, one was with respect to Cassie, and the other was with respect to Jane. Do you think your testimony helped secure the conviction against
how, like, and then you gotta look at that too. How can you be transporting a prostitute and y'all have a whole relationship together? You're paying her rent, you pay her rent. Her rent is $10,000 a month, and she still came to court. Jane, 50 Cent baby mama, she still came to court. Why Diddy still paying her $10,000 rent while he in jail and testified against him? Like they gonna be able to throw that part out too, dog. On God, I'm talking about Hamdu out of line.
Sean Combs?
No, not at all. Not my testimony, because I was clear that my dealings with them was, I'm from New York City at the time, and I only dealt with them in a New York City area. And me being hired in the initial communications as a male dancer, we always show up on our own. But I did hear in the testimony there was evidence of plane tickets and stuff being purchased on his American Express card for some of the other escorts. So I'm assuming that secured the conviction for those charges.
Mm-hmm. So as I mentioned to you before we were coming on, we have amazing viewers who submit incredible questions. And I have a bunch of them. A lot of people have questions for you, Mr. Hayes, so let's get right into it.
All right, first
question. Got a question from Jackie Reed. Did you have any direct dealings with Christina Coram or any other person other than Diddy that helped set up his freak-offs?
Actually, no, and actually I didn't have any direct dealings with Diddy. All of my communications were specifically with Miss Ventura and Miss Ventura only.
Damn,
there was no conversation, no communication, anything with Mr. Combs. And I said this before, the first time I actually even had eye contact with him, for the first time, eye contact was at leaving the stand after my testimony.
Damn.
I had zero interactions with Mr. Combs.
And by the way, I'm just gonna let you know, I'm not like tweaking these questions. These are the ones that are coming in, so I'm just gonna read them to you. This is from an accused. This is from an account, Smarty Pants. Thank you so much for the super chat question. Do you think Diddy was cheap with you?
Well, listen, if I'm being honest, when I hear some of the other guys getting $5,000, $6,000, obviously that would be the first thing you think. But then I don't know the scenario. I was never there more than, 4 hours at a time on the average. And one thing that I will say is I came multiple days in a row. So I don't know what the criteria was to determine what my fee would be, but I was fine with it. I don't have any reservations as if I was not fairly compensated, you know.
Then we got a question. Where is this? Okay. Show and Tell Knitting asks, how will the results of this trial affect your interactions with clients like Diddy? Will you do anything differently in the future?
As far as I'm concerned, I would not do anything differently. That was a nuanced situation for me. Obviously, I'm a
And see,
man.
this crazy. You say he wouldn't do nothing different, but I mean, at the end of the day, he ain't do nothing wrong. No folk paying him to do this shit. It ain't like he broke in there and Diddy gave him some money to break in there. And, you know what I'm saying? Nah, bruh. Them folk paid him to come in there to do this kind of stuff, bruh. So, I mean, I don't know what really else to say about it because it just looked bad. It did look it looked bad, bruh. Hey, okay, so if anybody in here watching this shit, what y'all think the differences between the R. Kelly and the Diddy case gonna be? R. Kelly got 25 years. What you think Diddy? What like ultimately now? We just trying to figure out how much time they gonna give him. So basically, like, okay, look, get in the comment section. How much time you actually think they gonna give Diddy though?
Dancer. My trade on a regular basis is not sex work to that degree. That was a proposition I indulged in. So I don't really see much changing. This was a very nuanced situation. I don't think anybody predicted these scenarios escalating to what it actually became.
Yeah, this
So
shit
I don't have
bad.
any full regrets of my interactions, or if I'm being honest, even
This shit got real bad, dog. Like they put all the man.
My $25,000 final expense check came in the mail today. I can't believe it. This benefit is backed by the
I ain't got. Hey, but check this out, y'all. Just think about this shit. Think about they done put all your personal business out there. You done beat the RICO, the other two charges. What if they just take the other two charges and just say, you know what? Fuck it, we not, just let them go. Bro, basically they just stripped this man of all his dignity, humanity, everything, bro. Like now you what you did to Cassie, 100, 1,000, 5,000% wrong. That's what they should have charged you with, domestic violence. Then you would want to actually had to go to jail. But they ramped the charges up, and by them ramping the charges up, it made it like hard. Like everyday citizen looking like, okay, yeah, this man he freaky, but at the end of the day, like, I mean, that's what he got going on. He ain't hurting nobody. He paying people and all this shit like that. Come on, bro. I gotta be real with yourself, bro. Like you gotta look at the facts, the evidence, bro. Now, like I said, if you would have got charged with Diddy Cassie, he would have went to jail. Easy. Y'all want to be Superman and put the man with the Man Act and RICO charge. Y'all did get the Man Act though. Y'all got that.
my decision. It was something I was a part of. It were some of our decisions, and I'm comfortable with the way everything transpired, even the negatives.
Chris Bono asks, how has this experience changed you, if at all?
Well, it put me in a scenario where I have to do damage control, right? We live in a society where you meet a person, everybody.
See, he said damage control. Now you gotta think about this. He talking about damage control. Puffy ain't got no damage control, bro. We know whatever. We know all the shit you like, nigga. Like you really had no secrets after this case, bro. And like I'm saying, what if they just say, you know what, the last two charges, fuck it, time served, let them go. That'll be crazy, bro. They just destroyed your whole image, your whole everything. I'm talking about you my everything. I'm talking about that's fucked up right there though, bro. Bad times and that nigga Diddy. I just hope they don't go together, cause that's what it sound like from here on out. It sound like he ain't gonna. They really just fucked his whole image up, bro. Even if they give that nigga 2 years, bro, he gonna do a year. That man might not even have to do though. He might not even see a federal penitentiary. This man might go. They might give this man what they call it, probation, bro. Go sit your ass down somewhere. We done shook you up and did what we need to do with you. We done put you in jail and shook your ass up. Now, hey, now go sit your ass down. That's probably what they did.
Damn!
That's foul work, my nigga.
Right? So I know for the rest of my life, I'm associated with this crime and or trial, I should say, with this trial and these accusations, and I'm instrumental in it too. So all I'm doing now is I have to have a much conscious effort in how I'm perceived in my interactions with people going forward, because I could start out in a lot of situations
Yeah, it could mess them up in the
what normal people do.
And I appreciate you coming on and speaking to media outlets about this, because obviously the trial wasn't testified. There was reporting, it wasn't televised, excuse me, but it wasn't, there was reporting about what the testimony was like. People might have misconceptions about what you said, why you testified. So to be able to clear the air is really important, which is why the question from Brooklyn Truth, what was your motivation for testifying? So to be clear, I mean, did you want to testify? Did you reach out to the government? How did that work exactly?
So I did not want to testify. The government contacted me.
I wouldn't want to testify.
Even way before the charges, just investigators. And I actually believed that my testimony was going to be insignificant. You know, I explained to them I didn't see any violence. You know, I didn't see anything that.
And it's crazy because his testimony is really what got Diddy off, bro. The Punisher. The Punisher is the one that really basically just, and the corroboration with all the Cassie them texting Diddy, telling them they still love him. Daphne Joy, which was Jane, she's texting him, "Oh, I love you." This nigga paying her rent every month, $10,000. Come on, bro.
Was out of the ordinary. And then I was aware, I was a resident of New York. We met up in New York, so it didn't really, in my opinion, or my understanding, constitute sex trafficking. So the thing that put me in this situation, and this never happened, I didn't get any issues from the prosecution or the federal government, but if you talk to people who supposedly in the know, they scare you about the Southern District. They give you this thing where, look, you want to cooperate, just do whatever you got to do. You don't want to get on their bad side. So I went into the scenario like, look, I'm just going to cooperate to the best of my ability, because I don't want to create a scenario where I'm looked at as an issue and then it escalates to something. It probably wouldn't have, but I just kept getting negative feedback that the Southern District is people you don't want to mess around with. And if they want to talk to you, if they want facts, if they want information, you have to give it to them. And that escalated to me on the stand, where I never second guessed even.
I bet you when they called him and he thought he was glad to go, well, he had to testify. I know he was like,
because I did have worry that resistance could have been an issue for me.
Got maybe the most important question of the day from Xenu Golf Club. Do you like your courtroom sketches?
So I'm still getting problems from my buddies about how terrible those sketches are. So I did not like the courtroom sketches, man.
Well, Combs didn't like them either. He thought he looked like a koala. So.
Yeah. They have me. They're calling me like I don't know if you're familiar with the Fantastic Four, but I'm Ben Grimm. You know. So yeah, a lot of jokes, a lot of unnecessary jokes we subjected to because of those photos.
Got a question coming in from, wait, I just lost it. Where was it? No. Oh yeah, Chris Buono asks, if you weren't an escort worker, in what line of business could you see yourself?
Ironically, I have a passion for car sales. I can see myself.
This nigga said he wanted to be a car salesman. This nigga said he wanted to be a car salesman, bro. Like, what? That's sad, man. I feel that. This nigga say he wanted to be a car salesman. All right, big dog. We're gonna let you rock with that. We ain't gonna mess with you too much on that.
Decent dealership, maybe a Mercedes, BMW dealership. I like the interaction with people. That would have been somewhere I would have went into as a secondary.
I ain't got premium, y'all. Hold on one second. That was funny, bro.
Secondary option.
Let me ask you a question. When you were testifying, this is my question. When you were testifying, what was it like to be in the room with Sean Combs, to see him? Did you make eye contact with him? Was he looking at you? Did it feel awkward? Was it strange?
Listen, man, it was the actual extreme of all of those feelings. I think the federal court is set up to intimidate you. The magnitude of the rooms, like the doors are 15 feet high, the ceiling is 30 feet high, the furniture is huge, you're sitting up high, the judges are squeezing in the room. I walked in, I had an anxiety attack, and I consider myself a very calm, cool, collected guy, not easily rattled at all. And by the time I got on the witness stand, I was trembling. And so then to put on top of the understanding that I'm walking in there as a prosecution's witness, so I'm gonna assume there's not a favorable thought process with Mr. Combs, his family, anybody involved. So it was very nerve-wracking, man. And I only benefited because I got called to the stand 10 minutes before lunch. And literally just swearing in and answering my name and very preliminary questions, I was losing my voice. I was having trouble talking. And so I'm happy that it broke for lunch. And it took me on 20 of the 30-minute lunch to recompose myself. Or I might have a very different testimony if I didn't have that break time to just kind of get myself together, because it was overwhelming.
Let me, Sheree, stand by. We have more questions coming in, but I want to bring on the other panelists as well. Ben, we haven't had a chance to talk about the verdict. This is something you predicted, though.
Well, I don't know. I went back and forth, but it was, I have to confess, it was a bit of a surprise to me.
Was it something about Cassie's testimony? Was it something about James' testimony with respect to sex trafficking? Again, the jury did not believe the prosecution proved beyond a reasonable doubt that they were victims of sex trafficking. What was it? What was the thing that...
Damn, son.
Hang up.
I thought it was some of the communications, the text messages, which really suggested more of a relationship rather than coercion. That this is, I think it came across as a very, very complicated, unusual relationship, but a relationship.
Yeah. And we got super chat questions coming in for you, Ben. So this is from Nancy Nicole. Actually, this is a regular question. Then we're going to, actually, let me start with a super chat question. Super chat question from JAM. Thank you so much, Ben. Can law address the need for cognitive consent that is often comprised sex crimes when, I'm not sure what this means, when something's normalized? But yeah, can the law address the need for cognitive consent that is often compromised in sex crimes? I'm not exactly sure the question, but I throw it to you.
No, it's a very good question. And I don't think really this is something that the law can really define. And that's why I think the jury system is really the best way.
This is crazy, y'all.
Of obtaining the truth when you're talking about complex human emotions. It's really hard to have bright lines in the law. I think it's something that a jury has to consider, and I think this really is the best way to adjudicate these things.
Tyler, Nikki Vale says, do you think if Christina Quorum, this is a super chat question, thank you so much. Do you think if Christina Quorum testified, the jury would have reached a different verdict?
I think that if she testified as a part of the conspiracy, it may have helped the jury get to a conclusion more likely to convict on count number 1. But I think as a whole that this jury probably rests with the fact that they did not believe this was a conspiracy, a one-man conspiracy with Mr. Combs at the top, and there being no co-conspirators, and then all of the acts and furtherance of this conspiracy led to prostitution, sex trafficking with the 2 victims. I think they really wrestled and not feel like it was enough. That with KK testifying, possibly it could have helped the prosecution out a little more.
Man, bro, this is wild.
For convincing the jury.
Ben, got a super chat.
I don't think nobody expected this though. Honestly, a lot of people, like myself, I thought they were going. I was like, I felt the way that the jury felt, but I felt like they was going to railroad him, like give him all the charges. He had to go to jail and all that, but it ain't work out like that. Shit, the man might be going home today, shout.
Christina Lester. She writes, I have to know this. Please ask Ben. Is he related to Benjamin Chew, prominent Pennsylvania lawyer and jurist and a close friend of George Washington, 1722 to 1810? The people must know.
You have a wonderful viewership and someone who's very keen on history. Yes, that is my ancestor, who was the last crown-appointed chief judge of Pennsylvania. And anybody who is a history buff like your viewer can go see the museum that's in Germantown called Clifton. And that was Benjamin Chew's house, and it was the site of the Battle of Germantown.
That is awesome. That is amazing. And you had no choice but to become a lawyer. You couldn't be in sales like Mr. Hayes. You couldn't do it. Nope, you couldn't be it. Nope.
We're going to Law and Crime 2.0, next one. Next one in. Gotta go to the next one. We got to get them all in, y'all.
2 a.m. They sent the note that they had a verdict. Sean Combs guilty for transport.
Keep guilty for transportation, bro. That ain't that charge right there ain't shit, bro.
Prostitutes, the Mann Act, guilty on those 2 counts, but that's it, not guilty on the rest. Candace Kelly, you have been outstanding to be with us throughout the morning here, especially hopping on with the breaking news of this verdict. Thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. And now let's bring in Elizabeth Milner. She is live outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Elizabeth, I will hand you the ball. What was it like to be in the courtroom? Take us inside the moment.
Oh yeah, well let me tell you something, Chris. The moment was it was the moment that everyone's been waiting for. And I literally had to go count by count by count, just writing out, what was it gonna be? And so obviously count 1 being not guilty.
What it was gonna be, Shada, what it was gonna be.
The only guilties were for count 3 and count 5, that being transportation to engage.
3 and 5, they ain't them charges ain't shit.
So I will say this, Chris, that whenever I will say this, Chris, that whenever the verdict was being read out loud, that Timmy and Sean Combs were holding hands, like clasping hands very much together during the verdict. There was an audible exclaim coming out from the gallery, that being Sean Combs' family, that being other people who were just from members of the public, because obviously all of us in the press were just writing everything down, that there was very much an exclaim that came out when count 2 and count 4 were read out loud, but also count 1. Obviously, those were the charges that Sean Combs was acquitted of, and a lot of people are like, yes, yes, yes. I saw him turn around in his seat at the defense table.
He started hugging them. He started hugging them folks like,
damn, son.
I'm talking about where'd you find this
His
one?
family, he's coming home. His family
That
was,
nigga
they were
going home.
crying
That nigga took it to trial and
I
beat
remember I was
that
speaking to
shit.
Charlucci, one of Diddy's childhood friends, somebody who's been inside that courtroom every single day of trial, but also he was one to be attending some of those pre-trial hearings. He's been adamant that his really good.
This man took it to trial and beat the shit, bro. Like, bro, that shit hard to do, especially in the Southern District of New York, bro. Southern District of New York, I think they rate with the feds, their conviction rate is 93 point something percent.
Friend is innocent. He's been adamant about this. He was the one also coming in with the free puff shirts. I asked him what were his thoughts after this verdict was read out loud, and he said, God.
I'm talking about he beat it. Hey, that nigga Unc was out there, y'all. The nigga, that nigga Unc say he beat it. Took it to trial, beat it.
Damn!
That's crazy. That's spooky, my nigga. All these niggas I ain't
So obviously from the defense's side, the lawyers all hugging, they were shaking, they were crying. Timmy and
damn, I said they were crying, my nigga.
Anna Maria Escobar, they literally hugged and cried while after the jury was dismissed, after they were taken back to the attorney room. There was an audible applause even for Mark Agnifilo, Mark the Shark. People were just standing up and clapping for him. And again, everyone, this wasn't just...
Man, so y'all gotta think about this shit like this too now. Brian Steele, which just was on Diddy trial, was on Young Thug trial just when they let Young Thug go or whatever. That was Young Thug's lawyer. So Brian Steele motherfucker done got Young Thug home right now. So Young Thug home, boom, you jumped to Diddy. Okay, now you with Diddy and them. Goddamn, Diddy beat the Rico? Bro, you know how much this man's stock just went up just now, bro?
Holmes' family that was doing this. This was also members of the public who were inside that courtroom. I saw that whenever the jury was still present, so I'm kind of going a little step back.
Hey, all I gotta say is, if y'all get in some trouble, call Brian Steele, my nigga. Please call Brian Steele.
Whenever the verdict was read and he
off.
saw that it was only guilty for count 3 and 5, that he looked at the jury, and I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, because everything just kind of felt like a blur, but I think I'm remembering this correctly, I saw him mouth thank you to the jurors, or at least bare minimum do this to them. I saw that Justin's girlfriend was crying, Shapiro was nodding over at Sean Combs. Sean Combs again told his family that he was coming home, and I did make it a note right here because I just got to it. That obviously Sean Combs was thanking the jury, looked at the jury.
Took it to trial, beat it.
Whenever they were leaving for the day. So obviously from the defense's side, obviously those for people who were very much Team Combs were just very, very pleased with the verdict, to the point where Mark Agnifilo made a pretty strong and compelling bail application argument too. Obviously, we don't know if Sean Combs is going to be released today, possibly pending sentencing for the counts that he was found guilty on, but we'll see once those letters come in later this afternoon and we hear arguments from both sides. But the family, I will tell you, Chris, they're very happy, even with 2 of the counts coming back as guilty.
Yeah, and with just how concerned it seemed that Sean Combs was yesterday for the partial verdict, to then have this unanimous verdict and what he was found not guilty of. Elizabeth Vilner.
But I think, this is what I really think happened. I think they was finna say he ain't guilty of shit.
Thank you. I now want to bring in longtime CEO and founder.
Because they kept talking about some juror, I think it was juror 25, they kept saying he was some type of little scientist or some bullshit. Talking about he had a partner and all this foolishness. But, bro, I think them folks was finna say this man ain't did shit, bro. Because you got to think about it. You got 5 charges, 3 of them, he got convicted of the lesser. Boy.
Dan Abrams. Dan, thank you for taking the time to be with us. What is your reaction, especially on this count 1 racketeering conspiracy, Sean Combs not guilty?
Look, this is a win for Sean Combs. This is a big victory. No matter how you look at this case, there was almost no chance he was going to be acquitted of the transportation for the purposes of prostitution counts. Now, when you looked at all the evidence, all the records, all the documents with regard to those counts, it was hard to imagine how he would have been acquitted of those charges. The fact that he was acquitted of all of the most serious charges is a big win. And let's talk for a moment about the racketeering charge. What, yesterday, they were so incapable of reaching a unanimous verdict. They said that people, I forget the exact wording about the language that they used to talk about the divide on the jury, and then they come in, and within an hour, they've got a unanimous verdict on it. It just shows you that judges sending the jurors back can work. Jurors will tell the judge, oh, we're hopelessly deadlocked. The judge will say, go back, go back. Well, in this case, it was pretty easy. But look, headline is, this is a big win for Sean Combs.
Absolutely. Unpersuadable is what they said yesterday in the 4 o'clock hour before they go home. And then 9:52 this morning, less than an hour into deliberations, they have a unanimous verdict. Dan, what was it, in your opinion, Cassie Ventura's testimony? I remember Elizabeth talking about just how emotional
they said they had a unanimous verdict. Like,
was in the courtroom when she was on the stand, and yet not guilty is the verdict the jury finds. What is it about the defense that apparently spoke to the jury where they felt that she was not a victim of sex trafficking?
Right. I mean, look, you needed coercion and force, right? And I think that there was enough consensual activity.
Basically, ain't nobody did that to you for 10 years, or you just stood there, bro. Come on, man.
Consensual relationships between Jane and Cassie, such that the jurors.
But like I say, the domestic violence, I'm totally against that part right there. I want to make that clear through the whole video, bro. Like, I don't condone on no man hitting a woman or vice versa. I don't condone none of that. Like,
you don't think there was proof beyond a reasonable doubt that this was sex trafficking? You only needed a single instance, right? As the judge told the jurors and the prosecutors told the jurors, if they were convinced of just one, even if the rest of them were consensual, that would have been enough. Jury didn't believe that existed. Look, this is a classic, I would say, compromise verdict, but when you view it as a compromise, it doesn't quite do it justice at how big a win it is for Sean Combs.
Yeah, for real though. It's a compromise, but that shit a hell of a compromise.
Right now, I know we just had video of
bro, that shit is a hell of a compromise right there, bro.
Diddy's family leaving.
Bro, if your family walk out the court and they cheering and they spraying baby oil there, what, nigga?
This was not a trial where you saw like a Luigi Mangione crowd of supporters outside every day. What are you seeing right now with the news of these verdicts coming in?
Yeah, well, as you guys can see behind me, I don't know if you can see behind me but we see a Cadillac Escalade or a Ford Escalade, I can't name what cars are there. But you see a large black SUV behind me. We have two vans behind me. The two Sprinter vans are obviously going to be
hopefully he straighten this shit up.
And all I can see right now.
Hopefully this nigga straighten up, bro. Do the right thing, bro. Just he gonna have to move real light, my nigga. Real light, so he don't piss that ground on. Cause boy, I'm telling you, but you better sit your ass down somewhere, Diddy.
It's just a crowd of people, the press and the public, just crowding around. Their cell phones are out, their cameras are out. Some people are standing on what looks to be ladders, or at least kind of those metal barricades. And I see obviously some in security, some even kind of standing in the roadway. I hope they're not necessarily blocking any traffic, but I did hear an audible kind of explain when the family did. Obviously, everybody who's watching at home, Sean Combs is not coming outside of the courtroom at this moment right now. We do not see him or anything like that. He's still back in a holding cell while both sides kind of work out what they're going to be saying in their arguments later today about Sean Combs' bail application. But from what I could see, the SUV, the Sprinter van, it's crowded. It is a whole bunch of people really probably trying to get a glimpse of the Combs family, get their reaction after this verdict was read out loud today. And so it's really kind of a pretty packed.
This shit crazy, man. Bro, like I thought they were gonna railroad this man, bro. I thought they were gonna get him to chill. I thought they were gonna say death. Them folk out there, that nigga came up out that bitch like, one more chance. Baby, give me one more chance.
Outside there, as people are just waiting to see what the family's reaction is as they are
I gotta
pretty,
play it. No, I ain't gonna play
pleased
it
with
right now.
today's verdict. Obviously, they would have liked probably for him to be acquitted on all counts, but in
Hey,
terms
Chris.
of the verdict that was rendered today, it seems like the family is pretty pleased.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.